From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. WTO Director-General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala endorses President Tinubu's programs, says country's economy now stable. NLC issues 7-day strike notice to federal government over pension and SITF funds. Journalists and activists in South Africa join the world in protest over killing of Al Jazeera workers in Gaza.
In business, cyber attack on Nigeria Customs ICT platform disrupts port operations, triggers demurrage losses.
And in sports, NWFL champions Bayelsa Queens face tough opponents after Thursday's draws for the WAFU B Women's Champions League qualifiers.
Tonight begins now. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight at the presidential villa, where the presidential seat, State Director-General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala commended President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms, noting that they have brought stability to Nigeria's economy. The WTO boss spoke during her visit to President Tinubu at the State House on Thursday during the launch of the Women Exporters Fund, aimed at boosting Nigeria's digital economy and empowering women in the country. The fund, which is jointly run by the WTO and the International Trade Center, will support 146 Nigerian women entrepreneurs selected from more than 67,000 applicants with direct funding and business support.
The First Lady, we launched a Women Exporters Fund for the digital economy. This is a fund that is jointly managed by the WTO, the World Trade Organization, and the ITC, the International Trade Center in Geneva. And the idea is to help support the economy and support women to be able to weather the storms of the economy and be able to create jobs for themselves, for others. We had 67,000 Nigerian women who applied for this, and 146, can you imagine, 67,000, 146 won, and they are going to have money disbursed directly to them. 16 of them won what we call the booster track. Those who already have businesses, but their businesses will be scaled up. They will receive technical and business support for 18 months from the WTO and the ITC, and working with the ministry. So we think that the president and his team, and we just exchanged with him, have worked hard to stabilize the economy. And you cannot really improve an economy unless it's stable. So he has to be given the credit for the stability of the economy. So the reforms have been in the right direction. What is needed next is growth. We now need to grow the economy, and we need to put in social safety nets so that people who are feeling the pinch of the reforms can also have some support to be able to weather the hardship. So that's the next step. How do we build social safety net to help Nigerians cushion the hardship they are feeling? And then how do we grow the economy so we can create more jobs and put more money in people's pockets? These are issues that we discussed.
Lecturers in Nigerian tertiary institutions have rejected the Tertiary Institutions Staff Support Fund, a federal Ministry of Education and TET Fund-funded program, while describing knocking the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, over the move. They say the government should rather release payment of all outstanding areas which they have legitimately earned, including payment of the 3.5 months of withheld salaries. payment of 7 months' arrears of occupational hazard allowance, and release of third-party deductions for the 2 months of withheld salaries that they were paid. They appealed to the federal government to use the TSSIF funds to settle the outstanding claims of lecturers. Let's tell you that Nigeria's youth are transforming the tech landscape with remarkable creativity and energy as tech hubs across the country are buzzing with innovations from educational apps and fintech solutions to health tech, all shaping the nation's future. As technology transforms the world into a global village, collaboration between countries and local innovators have been described as essential for multilateral partnerships needed to drive development and create opportunities for all. News Center's Aishat Saliu has more.
As Nigeria continues to actively develop its technological capacity, especially among youth, with a focus on digital transformation and innovation across various sectors, stakeholders believe that this can reduce the high unemployment rate in the country if properly harnessed.
Technology has the solution to almost everything. But again, we also need data to help the activities, implementation of the youth go smoothly.
You see the way technology is changing the world. And now, people can't hear anybody say that I'm going to the post office to post a letter. They know that at the touch of a button, information is passed globally. You understand? That's what technology is doing. And it's changing our life, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in medicine, whether it's in tech, whether it is in, whatever it is, technology is driving the world.
We're able to keep our leaders, our legislators, we're able to keep everyone accountable through technology. We share information, we gather information. Most importantly, we keep track of everything that is happening.
Although Nigeria's tech community has been identified to be vibrant in areas like fintech, agri-tech, and edu-tech, the growing number of startups and investments has called for a viable partnership to advance technological drive and build tech skills from the ground up for young Nigerians.
These multilateral corporations and what these partners are looking for, they're looking for people that have the ideas, that have the innovations, that are culturally and contextually relevant to to the problems in those local contexts, and then those culturally relevant solutions can then be scaled.
We try to introduce children to coding, robotics, AI, and 3D design, and etc. So why we are doing this primarily is to foster and spark creativity, innovation, critical thinking, and agility.
Stakeholders believe that youth in Nigeria are capable of upscaling technological advancement needed for the country to thrive and drive the change they want to see. They say that youth in the country can compete with the best worldwide and call for the creation of more tech hubs. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has commissioned 46 new operational vehicles in Abuja as part of efforts to resolve logistic challenges affecting the operations. The move is aimed at boosting the agency's capacity in the fight against illicit substances abuse and improving their enforcement operations. News Central's correspondent Sumaya Abubakar tells us more.
The commissioning brought together top security leaders, united in their resolve to strengthen the fight against drug trafficking and abuse. At the ceremony, the NDLEA chairman reviewed the agency's recent performance, while other security and law enforcement chiefs set out strategies to strengthen operations nationwide.
In the past 18 months, that is from January 2024 to June this year, we have made seizures of over 1 billion pills of tramadol, over 14.4 million bottles of codeine.
Insurgents and armed groups fund their activities through them, and countless young Nigerians fall victims to addiction, with devastating consequences for families and communities.
As long as these drugs keep on coming in, insecurity will continue to thrive. For us in the armed forces, we have gone ahead to ensure that all our recruitments, tests, for illegal use of drugs is necessary.
Those who are convicted of illicit drugs, offense bordering on illicit drugs, should be made to serve, especially when it comes to, sentencing with hard labor, to take them to their environment, their local government, to be doing this hard work.
Security experts present say that the operational vehicles will effect quicker response and stronger presence across all NDLEA commands.
In some states, commanders have been hampered by inadequate transport. This intervention will therefore bridge that gap and enhance command and control nationwide.
Mobility is central to the NDLA's mission. Without the mobility to swiftly reach danger points, intercept traffickers, and move resources where they are most needed, our fight is severely constrained.
As these vehicles are deployed to the field, I urge all NDL personnel to use them responsibly, maintain them diligently, and continue to uphold the highest standards of integrity and professionalism in the discharge of your duties.
Officials say the new fleet will boost mobility and expand coverage for NDLEA operations across the country. They believe it will keep pressure on drug networks and strengthen the nationwide fight against illicit drug use. In Abuja, for News Central, Maya Abubakar.
Coming up, police arrest cleric for allegedly abusing minors. We'll tell you more after the break. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. WTO Director-General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala endorses President Tinubu's program, says country's economy now stable. NLC issues 7-day strike notice to federal government over pension and SITF funds. And journalists and activists in South Africa join the world in protest over killing of Al Jazeera workers in Gaza. Let's go to Rivers State, where the police command has arrested a religious leader and 4 other members over allegations of child abuse. The arrest followed a viral video that circulated on social media showing the said religious leader whipping a group of unclad children in what appears to be a religious ritual. The DPO of the Eneka Police Division, who led the arrest, reveals that the said video was captured at the premises of the Eneka branch of a church known as Our Lord Victory Covenant Mission while at the police station. A group of persons believed to be members of the church and parents of the children stormed the premises, singing and dancing in a show of support for the arrested pastor.
I was not between them. What happened is that the Spirit of God directed that the children will stay on 3 days program, of which at the end of that program, there will be a spiritual cleansing for them. So that was exactly what we carried out.
So tell us how you went about this spiritual cleansing.
The direction was we will use palm frond and pigeon, which the directive was that they will put the blood of the pigeon inside the water, which is deep basin here. And at the end of the cleansing, the children will use that water to bathe.
My daughter is among the children that was purified. Her name is Uzoma Abigail. It was through the direction of the Holy Spirit. Remember, it's a spiritual church. So whatever the Spirit says we should do is what we do. And the message was that death was in the air, that they should please purify the children. They did that, the purification, with pigeon, water, and palm fronds.
There is a video that was circulating on social media. That was yesterday. And the Rivers State Police Command was drawn to it. And the CP, Olubenga Adepoju, PSC, NAIPS, swung into action and asked the DPO to immediately arrest those involved. And the DPO went into the scene and arrested the pastor and also invited those victims that were displaying on social media.
Amid growing concerns over the credibility of local government elections across Nigeria, stakeholders have called for sweeping reforms, chief among them the transfer of electoral oversight from state-controlled bodies to the National Electoral Commission. News Central's correspondent Israel Iferibo has more.
In the middle of widespread irregularities and poor voter turnout in local government elections across the country, stakeholders have renewed calls for urgent reforms in how grassroots polls are conducted.
You go to every part of the country, it's the same. It's the party that controls the state structure, that controls the government, that usually wins the election. And that has been the pattern. And that tells you that something is faulty with the system. It is not with the players, but the system.
At a post-election review forum in Lagos, political analysts, legal experts, and civil society groups gathered to dissect the issues plaguing local elections.
If you look at the Nigerian elections, participation is about 50–60%. But council election is below 20%. Below 20%. And it's not only in Lagos, all over the country, where you see the ruling party getting all the votes.
Analysts argue that entrusting the state electoral body with the responsibility of conducting local government elections is an anomaly.
One of the greatest flaws of the 1999 Constitution is giving the responsibility of midwifing the election to the local government, which happens to be the closest government to the people, to be midwifed by the State Independent Electoral Commission.
Historically, has there been attempts to have a unified system for local government elections in Nigeria?
The 1976 Daksuki panel was the panel that came up for us to have a unified local government structure. And then in 1991, there was a reform by Babangida administration in the transition towards the aborted Third Republic, whereby you have presidential system of government. So outside of that, we have not had an holistic approach to local government reforms in Nigeria.
The consensus: transfer electoral oversight from the state-controlled commissions to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
National Local Government Electoral Commission. That is the only way to guarantee free and fair, transparent, credible process. Once that one is done, people will participate.
For us to have a unified local government structure, in the sense that the local government election will be conducted the same day, the local government election structure in Nigeria will be the same. The one you have in Lagos will be the one you have in Kaduna, you have in Kebbi State, not the haphazard approach that we have with the local government structure in Nigeria today.
Now, while this proposal will require constitutional amendment, stakeholders believe it's a huge step towards restoring trust and strengthening democracy at the grassroots level. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Iferibo.
Staying on election matters, Edo State Governor Mando Okpeholo has praised President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms and unveiled major youth empowerment plans as the All Progressive Congress steps up campaigns ahead of Saturday's Edo Central senatorial by-election. My colleague Ameze Bazwaye has details.
At APC ward-to-ward rallies in Uwesan and Ewu, Asan Central Local Government Area, Governor Okpeholo described the economy President Tinubu inherited as failed, but said the president has worked tirelessly over the past 26 months to stabilize it. He also credited the president for supporting key infrastructure projects in the state, including a 130 billion naira approval for the Ekpoma-Auchi-Okpila Road and promised extensive road construction after the rainy season.
It is time to develop where I came from. I'm happy to present Joe Ifeya to my people. This is the man that does not talk too much. He doesn't know how to lie. Few words, many actions. On Saturday is the election. By the grace of God, we must win that election.
In Irua, also in Asan Central, the governor announced a large-scale recruitment drive into the Edo State Civil Service aimed at tackling youth unemployment. He highlighted other ongoing projects in the area, including a new ultra-modern market, the dualization of the Ekpoma-Ubiaja road, and an extended 33 kV power line to boost electricity supply.
We are bringing a modern market inside this town. This is going to be a supermarket. A market that when you get there, you want to sit down and eat. Even then, you will still sit down and eat. There will be a restaurant there. There will be a crèche for children there. We also discovered that we don't have good light in Irua here. So we are bringing 33 kVA over.
The rallies drew top APC leaders, including the Secretary to the State Government, Musa Ehilo, APC Edo Central Leader, General Cecile Esekhaigbe, retired, and the party's senatorial candidate, Joe Ikpia. In Edo, for News Central, Ameze Bazwaye.
When Tonight returns, we'll bring you stories from outside our shores. Do stay with us. Glad you're still here. To our headline story. Journalists and activists are gathered outside the Al Jazeera offices in Johannesburg to show solidarity and to remember the media workers killed in Gaza. According to the International Federation of Journalists, more than 250 journalists and media workers have been killed since the beginning of the conflict. News Centro's Southern African correspondent, Bongani Siseba, is at the vigil and provided this update.
Good evening. Reporting live from the vigil outside the Al Jazeera offices at the media center in Johannesburg. As you can see behind me, journalists, activists have gathered to honor the lives of media workers who have been killed in Gaza, many whom were targeted while doing their jobs. According to the International Federation of Journalists, more than 270 journalists and media workers have been killed since the conflict in Gaza began. And today's vigil is not just a memorial, but also a call for accountability and an end to violence against the press.
It was important for this event to happen because, as I mentioned, this is starting to become personal. You know, at first, before October the 7th, many of us knew that, you know, we had to break the news, we had to write the articles, we had to compile the videos. And
killings of the 6 journalists on Sunday, and that the Israel government recognized that they targeted one of these journalists, and with no repercussions again. So we wanted really to say no, that this is not acceptable again.
They've lost family members. They are living in tents. Right now, many of them are starving to death. I don't know if there are any words that can truly express my support for them, the depth of my respect and admiration for them, because they are true soldiers of this struggle.
There is no press freedom when you cannot criticize a government. I don't want to hear from the West anything about the freedom of the press when they have been complicit in silencing journalists, when they have been complicit in the narrative that continues to fuel Israel's genocidal intentions.
But the atmosphere here is somber but resolute. Many attendees have expressed their demand for justice. And this vigil is a reminder of the dangerous realities faced by journalists in the conflict zones and a vital role that as journalists we play in informing the world. We, the journalists, stand here today to honor those who have lost their lives and to demand protection for journalists everywhere. It's also a reminder that the work that we do is essential, and the deaths of these colleagues who died in the line of duty cannot be ignored. So the international community also continues to call for the accountability. But for now, this vigil remains a poignant symbol of solidarity and remembrance. So from me, Bongani Siziba in Johannesburg, it's now back to you in the studio.
U.S. and Russian officials will converge on the state of Alaska ahead of a highly anticipated Friday meeting between President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. both leaders will meet for the first time in 6 years as Trump tries to enact a key campaign pledge to end Russia's war in Ukraine. The U.S. president, who has portrayed himself as a global peacemaker, hopes to leverage his personal relationship with Putin to achieve a ceasefire breakthrough where others have failed. On Thursday, Trump assessed there was a 25% chance the meeting would not be successful. Ukraine's leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, has been excluded from the talks and warned that any resolutions made in his absence will be meaningless. Let's talk about this. Alexander von Bruggen is a global policy analyst, and he joins me now to unpack the moves by President Donald Trump and the European leaders to end the war in Ukraine. Thank you very much for giving us the time. The European leaders met with President Trump on Wednesday ahead of the Putin's Alaska summit. Now, President Zelensky has bluntly stated that all concerned parties should forget about any peace deal if they would not include Ukraine in the peace talks. Is he asking for too much?
Well, I think Mr. Zelensky has proven to be a little temperamental. In previous meetings, there was an outburst in the White House not so long ago, which resulted in him leaving in haste and then returning to apologize. I think the outcome of the meeting with Trump and Putin is to basically lay the groundwork for peace. He's, as you've indicated, he says there's a 25% chance of failure, at which point he's going to leave immediately back to Washington. But at the same time, I think Trump wants to meet face-to-face with Putin because there have been other deals on the table outside of Ukraine, which I think the presidential dealmaker wants to table with Putin, such as rare earth rights in Russia, the sanctions on India for buying Russian fuel. These are matters outside of the Ukraine, but directly with the U.S. and Russia and global affairs that are going on in the BRICS pact at this point. So I think President Trump wanted to have that one-on-one time with Putin. He also publicly announced Zelensky should be in Alaska and they can have a follow-up meeting if the first meeting with Putin proves to show good results.
While Putin has stated that he saw sincerity in Trump's move to end the war, Trump, on the other hand, noted that Putin wants to get it done at tomorrow's Alaska summit. Why would you think Zelensky feels left out in this discussion, despite Trump considering a second meeting with him after now?
Well, Trump has indicated any final touches to a peace, such involving exchange of land, which Trump has hinted that will likely occur. This is what's really stirred up Zelensky's temper, because he's made it very clear there will be no land annexed to Russia that's currently occupied. That has been his stance all along. His stance has also been to return lands that were annexed in 2014 in the Crimea and Donetsk regions by Russia. So that's the impasse. The other details, such as Ukraine becoming a member of NATO, the size of the Ukrainian military on an ongoing basis, the types of weapons that are going to be stockpiled in Ukraine, those are all going to be the underlying conditions of a peace. And that will have to be between Ukraine and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin, with the support of Europe and, of course, the U.S.
President Trump has also allayed Ukrainian president's fear that any deal would not be made without him. Isn't this enough assurance, or is there more than meets the eyes?
As I said, the underlying conditions are going to require the input of Ukraine. What Ukraine doesn't like is other powers dictating their future as to where their boundaries are going to be and the state of their nation. Europe has said they want to support an independent state of Ukraine. They will offer humanitarian support. They will offer military support. Zelensky is also just coming out of a scandal in his own country, an anti-corruption scandal where he scaled back the anti-corruption auditors. This was much to the chagrin of van der Leyen in Europe, asking, why did you do that? We want better checks and balances, which he immediately restructured the anti-corruption auditors, and lo and behold, some military officials were charged with treason.
For all that matters, why is this peace deal having a tough posture or appearing to be a hard nut to crack? What exactly are the key sticking points in the negotiations between Ukraine and Russia?
I think you have to look back at the history of the Iron Curtain falling back in 1997 in the initial NATO-Russia treaty. In 1999, Poland, Hungary, and Czechoslovakia, which were part of the Warsaw Pact, joined NATO. But then in 2004, a host of other countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, joined, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia as well, joined NATO. And then in 2009, Croatia and Albania joined NATO. Russia feels like the walls are caving in on it, which wasn't part of the original 1999 accord, and they wanted to keep their so-called influence in the former Warsaw Pact countries. Now, Ukraine and Russia, from a cultural standpoint, are very close as far as the people go. And with the threat of Ukraine joining NATO, this is, I guess, overwhelming for Russia that the East is moving in on them, and that was part of the initial annexation in 2014. Russia has been voicing their concerns for the past 20 years of this movement shrinking the size of Russia and the borders of NATO coming closer. And I think because of the social ties with Ukraine and Russia, it was the final straw that broke the camel's back.
Alexander, as always, thank you very much for your thoughts on the news.
My pleasure.
Business, sports and entertainment are on the other side of this break. Do stay with us. Perpetua has tonight's business news.
Good evening and thank you so much, Felicity. To the stories now, a cyber attack on the Nigeria Customs Service NCS's ICT platform recently disrupted cargo clearance at ports nationwide, leaving licensed agents facing heavy demurrage and storage costs. NCS spokesman Miwad Abdullahi confirmed the breach now resolved and said security measures have been strengthened. Talks with stakeholders and possible compensation are ongoing. Meanwhile, the National Council of Managing Directors of Licensed Customs Agents, NCMDLCA, President Lucky Amiwero blamed defects in the new Bodogu platform, comparing them to past failures, and criticized business groups for inaction. Importer Olawale Udu urged NCS to negotiate with terminal operators and shipping firms for waivers to ease losses, warning that the glitch has significantly disrupted trade operations. The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, has urged the federal government to raise its pension contribution for police officers from 10% to 20% to boost retirement savings. Director-General Omolola Oloworaran made the call during a visit to Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun in Abuja, following protests by retired officers over poor welfare. Proposed reforms include health insurance for retirees, higher monthly pensions pegged at 75% of final salary, and expansion of the Retirement Resettlement Fund. Oloraran opposed exiting the contributory pension scheme, urging dialogue. Egbetokun pledged cooperation, while President Bola Tinubu recently directed PENCOM to resolve the police pension crisis. And finally, to stock markets now. Profit-taking persisted in the Nigerian equities market today, with notable drags from Dangote Sugar, Transcorp and Seplat pulling the bourse lower. As a result, the All-Share Index month-to-date and year-to-date gains is to plus 3.9 and 41.2% respectively. Now, let's take a look at the snapshot. We can see it's down 39 basis points, and you have the All-Share Index closing 145,300.01. Market capitalization back to 91 trillion naira levels. So this is 91.92 trillion naira. And to sectoral performance now, investors continue to scale out of year-to-date performance, leaving most sectors in the red. Now, let's begin with the banking sector. You can see it's down 48 basis points as Fuga's names posted marginal losses, while Wema Bank posted 10% decline. And of course, it led to the decline in that particular space. And now insurance is down a whopping 8.28%. That's a huge one. Well, momentum has, of course, faded sharply, and that's what we're seeing is slide to over 8%. And now oil and gas is also down 75 basis points. You've got consumer goods down 20 basis points, and you have industrial goods right there up 11 basis points. That, of course, is as a result of the gains we saw in WAPCO today. And that's a wrap on Business Tonight. I am Perpetua Fasamipita. Tonight continues with Felicity. Bye for now.
Time now for sports. Udoka, good evening.
Good evening, Felicity. A lot happening across the world of sports, and let's dive straight to it. As Nigeria Women's Football League champions Bayelsa Queens have been drawn in a competitive Group B for the 2025 WAFU B Women's Champions League qualifiers. The draw, conducted on Thursday morning, pits the former continental semi-finalists against Ghana's Police Ladies, Association Sportive de la Cosa from Togo, and Benez Samnelli. Bayelsa Queens, who are aiming for a return to the CAF Women's Champions League, will be looking to replicate their 2022 heroics when they won the WAFU B title and finished third on the continent. The qualifiers, which runs from the 23rd of August to the 4th of September in Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire, will feature some of West Africa's top women's clubs battling for the regional title and qualification for the 2025 CAF Women's Champions League. And in Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba has announced that the famous number 5 jersey at Rangers International Football Club will be retired in honor of the late Christian Chukwu. Mba made this known in Enugu at the night of tribute in honor of the football legend who once captained and coached Rangers. He also captained and coached the Super Eagles as well. According to the governor, the late Christian Chukwu was more than a defender, more than a captain. He was a unifying beacon at a time the nation sought symbols of pride. Beyond football, he embodied leadership, commanded respect, fostered discipline, and inspired greatness. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria B team have arrived in Dar es Salaam ahead of their final Group D match at the African Nations Championship. The team settled in and had their first training session this evening ahead of their game against Congo on Tuesday. Nigeria had been eliminated from the tournament after successive losses to defending champions Senegal and Sudan, conceding 5 goals and scoring none. Moving straight to Kaduna now. Kaduna State government has begun the long-awaited reconstruction of the Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna, promising to transform the dilapidated 61-year-old facility into a world-class sports complex capable of hosting both continental and international tournaments. The move followed the formal transfer of ownership of the stadium from the federal government to the states after years of agitation by successive administrations in Kaduna. According to the Commissioner of Information designate, Ahmed Mayaki, the government was not embarking on the project for prestige alone, but to build a viable economic asset for the state. The Ahmadu Bello Stadium, named after the late premier of the defunct Northern Region, Sir Ahmadu Bello, was commissioned in 1964 and served as a hub for major sporting events for decades. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka Njoko.
Up next is entertainment with Edewa.
Thank you very much, Felicity. You know how it is. The entertainment space is always full of surprises, and we're here to give you all the tea. Now, the federal government has settled the drama around Fuji legend Kwam slashing his 6 months flight ban to just 1 month, and even giving him a new gig, airport security ambassador. Interesting. Now, this comes after his public apology over the August 5th Abuja airport incident, where he was accused of blocking a value jet aircraft and carrying a prohibited flask. Now, the NCAA is also dropping its criminal complaint against him. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo says the move is out of compassion after appeals from well-meaning Nigerians, but one that airport rules still stands, and looks like Kwam is still flying high again, because this brought a whole lot of conversation on social media, and people had their reservations about it. But what do we say? It's been done, we move on. Now, let's talk about something quite interesting, as Wendy Williams' lawyer is clapping back at rumors claiming the talk show queen has been diagnosed with dementia and aphasia. In a chat with TMZ, attorney Joe Takopina called the reports false and irresponsible, making it clear Wendy hasn't even taken the tests and people are talking about. He warned fans to watch out for fake news, saying these wild stories do more harm than good. While she's kept her health private, Wendy is apparently, channeling her energy into feeling good and planning her next moves. So despite the chatter, it's still, how you doing from Wendy? And as she says, she is doing fine. Well, for those of you who've been following the story, it's been a huge back and forth, and at least the lawyer has come out to say what it is. And we're waiting to hear from maybe Wendy herself sometime soon. But that's all we have on entertainment tonight, by the way.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. WTO Director-General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala endorses President Tinubu's program, says country's economy now stable. NLC issues 7-day strike notice to federal government over pension and NSITF funds. Journalists and activists in South Africa join the world in protest over killing of Al Jazeera workers in Gaza. We would appreciate your feedback through the number showing now on your screen, or you can follow us on social media to do that at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks as always for your time. Have a good night.